Hello, I'm Mayor Ron Rakowski. This afternoon we have a guest from District 2, a familiar face to some of you because she served on council previously, and that's Ann Ingebretsen. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about why you decided to come back, having finished your term in 8-year term in 2007, and why you ran again last November.
Well, I got involved in the Orchard Station issue, and the more I listened to feedback from our residents, the more I realized that the council that was seated then their values were out of touch with the values of our residents. And I felt that I could help that situation, so I decided to throw my hat back in the ring.
Well, a lovely bonnet it was, and welcome back. It's great to have you.
I am delighted to be here, Mr. Mayor.
As you know, the District 2 citizens are very interested in who represents them. And your co-council member, Mr. Kerber, will have his day in the chair yet. But this is also going to be seen by people throughout the city and actually around the country. We actually have a following in other states of the Union. So why don't you tell those folks a little bit about yourself?
Well, prior to being on the council, last time I was on the Planning and Zoning Commission, which was terrific training for my years on the council. Then I served on the council for those 8 years. When I moved to Greenwood Village, I didn't realize what a great city this was. It was sort of dumb luck. We found a house we liked the yard. The house needed a lot of work, but we fixed that situation. And then as my children started to grow up and I started to participate in some of the Parks and Trails programs for them and used our park system and realized how safe the community was, I thought that Kirk, my husband, and I had kind of won the lottery, kind of dumb luck having bought our house in Greenwood Village. And I got involved in a neighborhood issue back around probably 1996, 97, and shortly thereafter, Mike DeShadned, who'd been on the council with me in one of my terms, asked if I would serve on Planning and Zoning Commission, and that's kind of how I got involved in city politics.
You expressed a great love for Greenwood Village. Why don't you break that down by what you love about the village, about District 2, and your neighborhood?
That's a good question and an appropriate one, because I've always loved living in Greenwood Village. I love the sense of open space. I love the sense of community, safety. Certainly the services that our city provides are amazing. But I think when I got involved in the Save Our Village campaign and we formed the 501c4, I got to know the community, the broader community, not just District 2, but the bigger Greenwood Village, and realized how engaged, how intelligent, how passionate our community is about where they live, what they love about it, and what they want to have going forward. And so I think I've always loved the city. I think I fell in love with the city again over the last 18 months, seeing what we went through as a community and getting to know the people that much better.
What can your constituents and the villagers in Toto expect from you for the next 2 years, and what challenge, in tying into that, what challenges or opportunities do you see for the city?
Well, as far as expectations from me, I think I mentioned that I thought the former council had lost their values. Their values didn't line up with our residents' values. Not all the council members, but certainly the two from my district. Part of what I want to do is to restore the confidence and trust that our citizens have historically had with their city government, but I think the train went a little bit off the track for the last couple of years. And so part of what I'd like to do is get the train back on the track and instill that confidence in our city government, which is, it doesn't happen just through a couple of events. It happens over a long period of time of reinforcing that we're listening to our people, that we value their feedback, and that we represent their interests. In addition to restoring that trust and confidence, I'm working on an ethics ordinance for the city to consider, for the council to consider, to tighten up some of our controls so that council members who are serving or are recently off the council don't have any more influence over decision making than they would have, than would any citizen who walks in the front door. Another thing that you and I have talked about that I'm going to be focusing on is understanding our financial position, understanding where we get our revenues from and what we can expect in terms of revenues over the short term, the next 1 to 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. One of the issues that came up with the Orchard Station issue was that if we didn't do a more dense kind of development in the city, that we were running out of revenues. And I would like to understand better whether or not that's really the case, and if so, fix it, and kind of create a model so that future councils will always be able to understand what our revenue source is going forward. Traffic will always be a challenge in Greenwood Village. We could stay exactly the same city as we are today, but we're always going to be buttressed by the forces outside of our city, Denver, Centennial, Aurora. I ran and said to people that I was in favor of reasonable development. I think part of the challenge of this council will be to identify what is reasonable development and putting some parameters around that. I think understanding some of the feedback we got in the referendum was that we are a city that's 54% single-family housing, 46% multifamily housing. Keeping that balance is something our citizens have communicated that they want us to do. That will be a challenge moving forward. So those are some of the things that I want to work on.
Well, let me, both as mayor and as Ron, thank you for your past service to the city, your present service to the city, and what I predict will be a very long future service to the city.
I appreciate that, Ron.
And thanks very much for coming. It's been a great opportunity for Ann Ingebretsen to communicate with her constituents in District 2, all the citizens of the city, and our worldwide audience on YouTube. Thank you.